If you're thinking about buying an iPhone 17 Pro or 17 Pro Max, pause for a second. Because if the leaks are even half true, the iPhone 18 Pro lineup coming in 2026 might be the biggest upgrade we've seen in years. Not just another small yearly refresh. We're talking a redesigned glass back you can almost see through, next-gen cameras, a smarter capture button, and even full satellite 5G, so your phone works in places where today it's just dead. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the most important changes you need to know about so you can decide. Do you buy now or wait and get something that might actually feel like a next-generation iPhone? Let's start with what you'll notice the second you pick it up. The overall design of the iPhone 18 Pro and 18 Pro Max isn't expected to be a radical redesign. The frame, the flat sides, the premium feel, that's all staying. But the back of the phone is where things get interesting. Leaks suggest Apple is working on a more transparent version of its ceramic glass back. Not fully clear and cheap looking, but just transparent enough that, when light hits it, you'll be able to subtly see the MagSafe coil and some of the internal structure underneath. Think of it like a luxury watch with a partially transparent back where you can see the movement. It's still clean and minimal, but with this tech art vibe that tells you there's serious hardware under the hood. It's the first time in years the back of the iPhone might actually look different enough that someone can tell you've got the new model without even seeing the screen. And speaking of looks, Apple is planning to shake up the Pro colors again. Instead of sticking to the usual silver, gray, and one fun color, leaks point to three bold, deeper tones. One is a dark burgundy red, not bright and flashy, but that deep sports car red you'd see on a high-end GT. It's the kind of color that looks black indoors and explodes into red in the sun. The second is a coffee-inspired brown. Think rich espresso or dark chocolate. It's different, it's mature, and it fits perfectly with that premium titanium look. And then a new purple. Not the light lilac we saw on older models, but a deeper, more sophisticated shade. Subtle enough to be professional, but still clearly not just another black phone. If you've been underwhelmed by the 17 Pro colors, the 18 Pro lineup might finally give you something that actually feels unique in your hand. Now, flip the phone over, and there's one change that day-to-day might matter more than anything else, the dynamic island. Apple isn't getting rid of it yet, but we're expecting it to shrink. A lot. Leaks say the new dynamic island could be around 1/3 to 2/3 the size of what you see on current Pro models. That's possible because Face ID hardware keeps getting smaller and more efficient. Remember, we're almost a decade into Face ID now. Those sensors don't need as much space as they used to. The front camera is expected to stay around 18 megapixels, which is already excellent, but the big win is screen real estate. Less black cutout, more usable display. Watching videos in landscape, that little bar at the top becomes less distracting. Gaming with on-screen controls, you get a cleaner view of the action. Even everyday stuff like reading, maps, or browsing just feels more immersive with less of the screen punched out. But the real, this changes everything feature isn't about what you can see. It's about where you can connect. Because the biggest leap everyone's watching for is full 5G satellite connectivity. Right now, Apple lets you send emergency messages over satellite in certain regions. That's already impressive. But the iPhone 18 Pro is rumored to take that concept and blow it wide open. Regular calls, texts, even data over satellite. Imagine this for a second. You're on a road trip in the middle of nowhere. No cell towers, no bars. Today, your phone is basically a camera at that point. With satellite 5G, your phone could still work. You could call home. You could load maps. You could stream music. You're on a plane above the clouds. Instead of hunting for expensive or weak in-flight Wi-Fi, your phone could potentially hook into a satellite network once airplane mode is off and just work. Now, realistically, carriers will have their own plans, limits, and pricing around this. It's not going to be unlimited free internet from space. But the core idea is this. With the 18 Pro, dead zones might start to disappear. Powering all of that connectivity means one thing has to get better, the battery. According to leaks, Apple may slightly thicken the chassis this time. We're not talking a brick, something like 1/4 to 1/2 millimeter thicker. In your hand, you probably won't even notice. But inside, that tiny difference makes room for a larger battery. The 17 Pro Max is already just over 5,000 milliamp hours. Early numbers for the 18 Pro Max point to something in the 5,200 to 5,300 range. On paper, that doesn't sound huge. In real life, when you combine that with all the efficiency upgrades we're about to talk about, it could mean an extra hour or two of real screen-on time. More gaming, more streaming, more GPS, and less hunting for a charger at 6 p.m. And one of the biggest reasons that extra capacity will matter is a new modem, Apple's C2 chip. Right now, the Pro models rely heavily on Qualcomm modems for 5G. But Apple's been moving toward its own in-house solutions, with the C1 and C1X already showing up in other devices. The 18 Pro and 18 Pro Max are expected to jump to a C2 series modem. Why should you care? Because modems quietly kill your battery. When you're in a weak signal area, your phone works harder to hold onto that connection. A more efficient modem means less battery drain, better standby time, and often better signal stability. And if Apple's designing this C2 chip alongside that satellite capability from the ground up, it means your phone can intelligently juggle between cellular and satellite in the most efficient way possible. You get more coverage with less power wasted. Now combine that with the brain of the whole device, the A20 Pro chip. Every year Apple drops a new chip, but this one is different. The A20 Pro is expected to be built on TSMC's 2-nanometer process. That's cutting edge even by 2026 standards. Shrinking down to 2 nanometers means Apple can pack more transistors into the same space. More transistors equals more performance and more efficiency at the same time. What does that look like for you? Faster Apple Intelligence features, smoother, high refresh rate gaming, cleaner 4K video editing right on your phone, more advanced AI photo and video processing, and all of that while still sipping less power than older chips under the same load. Yes, smaller processes can run hotter, but Apple appears to have future-proof for this. The vapor chamber cooling that showed up in earlier Pro models is expected to stick around, helping keep sustained performance high without your phone turning into a hand warmer every time you play a game. So you've got a better modem, a bigger battery, and a more efficient chip. But the thing most people upgrade for is the camera. And this is where Apple might be making its boldest move. For years, Apple has relied on Sony for its primary image sensors. With the iPhone 18 Pro, leaks suggest Apple is shifting to a main sensor developed with Samsung, a 3-layer stacked image sensor. That 3-layer stacked part matters. It basically means the sensor can gather more light and process it more intelligently. More light means cleaner images, less noise, and better detail, especially in low-light situations. Think about taking a photo in a dim restaurant, at a concert, or just out at night. On today's phones, those shots are pretty good for a phone. With a sensor like this, they start to look less like phone photos and more like what you'd expect from an actual camera. Sharper details in hair and fabric, cleaner shadows, less of that blotchy noise you're used to seeing when you zoom in on a night shot. And that's before Apple layers on all of its software processing and AI tricks. But Apple's not stopping at the sensor itself. They're also expected to bring a true variable aperture to the main camera. If you've ever used a DSLR, you know what aperture is. It's like the pupil of your eye. It opens to let more light in when it's dark, and it closes down to control light and increase depth of field when it's bright. On most phone cameras today, the aperture is fixed. The iPhone just fakes background blur with software most of the time. With a variable aperture, the lens hardware itself can open wider at night to pull in more light and close down in the daytime, so your shots don't blow out in bright sun. The result? Cleaner, more natural low-light photos without as moo. CH reliance on long night mode exposures. Better background separation for portraits that look less cut out and more optical. And more control for serious mobile photographers who actually care what their images look like straight out of the camera. And then there's the one feature that sounds tiny on paper, but might change how you use the camera every single day. The updated capture button. Apple introduced the capture button as a dedicated camera and control input on the side of the phone. With the iPhone 18 Pro, Leaks say Apple is redesigning and simplifying how it works. Expect it to feel more like a real camera shutter. Half press or light touch to focus. Full press to take a shot. Press and hold to start video recording instantly without diving through menus. Subtle swipes along the button area to zoom in and out smoothly while still keeping a stable grip on your phone. And beyond that, deep integration with Apple Intelligence. Long pressing to quickly pull up AI features, like cleaning up a photo, removing a background distraction, or switching to the best suggested mode based on what you're pointing at. The idea is simple. Instead of the camera being an app you open, your phone becomes a camera the moment your finger hits that button. Faster, more intuitive, and way more satisfying than awkwardly tapping the screen. So, put it all together. A more striking, semi-transparent glass back. Bold new Pro colors that actually stand out. A smaller dynamic island and more immersive display. True 5G satellite connectivity to kill dead zones. A slightly bigger battery with a smarter C2 modem. A tuninometer A20 Pro chip for serious performance and battery gains. A new Samsung-developed stacked sensor and variable aperture camera system. And a refined capture button that turns your phone into a real camera experience. Is it worth waiting for? If your current phone is dying, cracked, or barely lasting half a day on a charge, you probably shouldn't suffer for another year just for the sake of it. The 17 Pro lineup is already powerful. But if you're on a 15, 16, or even a 17 Pro that still works fine, and you care about cameras, battery life, and having a phone that feels genuinely next-gen, the iPhone 18 Pro and 18 Pro Max might be the models you actually want to hold out for. Now I want to hear from you. If you could only pick one of these upgrades, satellite 5G, the new camera system, or the smaller dynamic island, which one matters most to you? Think about it and decide whether you're upgrading now or waiting for 2026.